This is Milo, and we have Milie over here, and then Zoe. Now this is essentially a family of dogs. This is the dad, Zoe is the mom, and the little black one, Milie, is their offspring. Now basically, I came in, really the guardian has gotten a couple complaints about barking, and that's the primary thing she wanted to work on. But these dogs didn't have any rules, have any structure, didn't even know the most basic dog command, which is the sit, which is why one of the videos above is about how to do that. I probably will have another video that shows dogs where they're a little bit more successful doing it, so you can kind of watch two different versions of it. But these dogs are so insecure about people coming in their house. They're just like us. If we're nervous or anxious or fearful, we're not going to be at our best to solve math problems or stuff like that. So I think, in my estimation, these dogs are just really insecure, and they think that their job is to be in charge of the entire planet. And so if anybody walks by, they bark at it. Milie is the chief barker, but she gets the other two riled up. Now we have a couple other issues. We have a mother and daughter that live together that are both unspayed. Spaying them is not going to fix the problem. It's going to make fixing the problem a lot easier. So I'd like the guardian to get both of them spayed as quickly as possible, because they're both adults. Neither one of them are going to have, we're not planning on procreating with them. That will take a little bit of the edge off, hey buddy, and that will also help them be a little bit more accommodatable towards one another. Otherwise, they're kind of fighting for the only male that they have around, and so that creates a competition that is probably not helpful. Now, the other thing is these dogs were really under-exercised as well, and your average dog needs a good 45 minutes of exercise a day. The guardians were walking them a little bit, but then primarily exercise was like late at night in the local dog park. The problem with that is dogs' energy all day long is kind of compounding. So we really need to burn off their excess energy earlier in the day. So now it's hard for the dogs to walk because they're just reactive to everything that they go around. So I fitted them all up with martingale, well, two of them with a martingale collar, and showed the guardian how to add the special twisted leash. So we attach the leash, make sure this is on the spine, attach the leash, and then run it around the chest, so it's in both armpits, and then back, and always go through this towards the head, never go this way. And then the idea is that we wrap the leash so it's a straight leash, but not a tense leash. And then basically when we're walking, the dogs are walking next to us, not in front of us. For dogs, whoever's in front is perceived to be the leader. So if we let our dog walk in front of us, it's going to be more reactive. He, being a male, we're not going to allow him to mark on the walk. Since he pees on everything, that makes him more reactive because he thinks it's his property. So we're going to let him pee at the beginning of the walk, at the end of the walk, but not on the walk. Let me see. The 5 rules for a structured walk. Rule number 1, keep the dog on the right or left side. So each dog should have to be assigned a position where that's where they're going to stay every walk. So maybe we have Miley and Milo on the left and Zoe on the right, or whatever it is. But Zoe should always be on the right if that's the case. Milo, you have to sit for this, but he doesn't even know how to sit. For that, we want to go over what we call passive training. And that is the absolute easiest way to train your dog. So anytime any one of these 3 dogs does anything that we want them to do, we want to pet them immediately and say whatever it is they're doing. Now, standing on top of me should not be a command, but if one of the dogs comes to me for no reason, I'm going to pet it and say, come. If it sits down next to me, I'm going to pet it and say, sit. When it lays down, I pet it and say, chill, is the word that we were using, but you can use any word you want, just be consistent. A lot of us like to, the dog sits, and we say, good dog, sit, or good sit. They key on the first sound they hear. So instead of saying good sit, Milo, Milo, Milo. We have more treats here, buddy. We want to say just the command word and just sit, down, whatever it is. I like the guardians because dogs respond really well to the come command. I'd like the guardians to practice come. One of them should be sitting over there or in the bedroom, one of the bedrooms, and we're just going to use our hand flat. Now what we want to do is we want to start off with a 45-degree bend at our elbow. So my forearm is parallel with the floor. One of the guardians kept on continually going down to the bottom to begin with. We want to start off like this. And the dog, if I say come one time, come. If I don't come, then I go. When they look at me, I start lowering my hand. When they come to me, then I would let them lick the treat off my hand, and I would say the word come. And remember, anytime we're using a treat, after the treat goes in their mouth, they should hear the word, for the command word. So this is a real easy one for the guardians to do. So just practice having these half treats, and whoever the first dog is to come gets the treat. I normally make the dog come and sit, but like I said, these dogs need to build one step at a time. And that way, especially for Zoe, one of the not the primary guardian, is Zoe will nip her. Well, the more that she comes over to Zoe, or to Kimmy, then Kimmy's in the driver's spot, because Zoe's coming to Kimmy. Kimmy has the treat, so Zoe has a motivation to come to Kimmy. And then when she does come to Kimmy, we put a treat in her mouth, and then she hears the word come. So after that happens enough times, and when Kimmy says come, the dog is going to come running to get the treat. But passive training really helps with that. So every time the dog comes on its own, if you have a treat, give it a treat, or if you can pet the dog without it biting you, pet it and say come. If you can't do any of that, just say the word come. Make sure we do that for come, sit, down, and stand, I guess. All right, so that would be passive training. The petting with a purpose is these dogs nudge and bark at, can't think of his name. What's his name?
Milo.
Milo. I don't know why. Milo and Milie. I think I remember that. But Milo is a demand barker. So when he barks at his guardians, he wants their attention. Good attention from a human and bad attention from a human are pretty much the same thing. So if Milo barks at a human and they say shut up or not, he's getting what he wants. So for demand barking, we really need to not respond. Now the problem is, Milie really, if she starts barking, the rest of the dogs bark. And I think for her, again, a lot of these things come down to lack of rules and structure. Now, staying the females will help. Increasing their exercise will help. And for exercise, I guess I didn't finish this point earlier, make sure that we're exercising, especially early in the day. Otherwise, the dogs have that energy all day long. They're going to be more rambunctious. And you might want to actually quantify it by taking the dogs out for, maybe each dog gets a 10-minute walk. I know it's not convenient, but I would walk the two females together. Because dogs get over things by literally moving forward. If both of them are either side, and then the human doesn't let them move in front, the dogs get to do a bonding activity together. The more things they do together that are good, where they're practicing being together in a non-aggressive way, the better they're going to be together in other situations. Now remember, when we go to the door, before we go for these walks, we're going to go to the door, we're going to have the dogs on the martingale collar, we're going to go ahead and just open the door really wide and close it. Open the door wide and close it. Now eventually the dogs will be able to sit. I guess you can come over here, buddy. Normally I was going to correct him and say he couldn't be on the couch. Because for dogs, the higher they sit, the more rank or status they have. So again, we hear the pop the lead. That's more of a pull. We want a quick pop and then relaxing it. So remember, anything your dogs are doing in your presence you don't disagree with, you agree with as far as they're concerned. So if the dog starts, if you hear the you have to disagree right away. Now, the more that these dogs have rules enforced, the more consistent they're going to be. Zoe will nip even her guardian if she tries to move her off the couch. So what I'd recommend is using the positive dog training trick. Just if Zoe jumps on the couch, we pull out a treat, we toss it on the ground. As soon as she jumps off the ground and gets it, we say the word off. So now we're creating a vocabulary. Off means get off the couch and get a reward. We also incorporate a dog bed. If we're going to take away the furniture, we need to give the dog a place to go, especially because this is hardwood floors, they need a softer place. Now the dog bed you get, make sure you get a solid one. It should be squared like a cushion like this, not like a duvet cover that's going to be bunched up. I like a light color one with no pattern. Dogs' eyes are not very good for detail. If there's a big pattern on it and I leave a treat on the bed, they won't see it. So the idea is we get a square one or whatever shape, big enough for all three dogs. We're going to toss the treat on it. When they go and get it, we're going to say the word beach. And then the second way we do it is we let the dog go, we lead the dog over to it, or we leave a treat there when the dogs are not paying attention, and we just watch. When they go over and discover it, we say the word beach. And then the third way is I bring the dog over onto the beach, and I pop by luring it with a treat, and then as soon as it's on the beach, then right now she's filming, so she can't do it, but she could have reached over and petted. She wanted to, but she's put it for you at home. She wanted to make sure this camera shot was good. She forego for a win. But that would be a great opportunity for passive training. So every time that Milo sits or lays down, we're going to pet him and say sit or lie down. Now, for the dog bed, again, first way we do it is we toss a treat. Second way we do it is leave a treat on there. And each time the dog licks it up, we say the word beach. Third way is we bring them over to it. After a while, the dog should start congregating on the beach. And if the dog goes to the beach on its own, I'm too far away, I just say beach. If I can get up and walk over there and pet them and say beach without them getting up and running away, I would do that as well. Or if I have a treat, I might toss the treat to them. But we want to create a positive association, and that also gives us a directional command. So the dog is getting in trouble, we say beach, and they go to the dog bed expecting to get a reward. Now we went over one of the videos, the sit down, up and stand, and again, I'll have probably another video linked in the text somewhere where I show another dog that's being a little bit more productive at it, because these dogs are just so insecure. And two of them are asleep, and the third one, Milie, will be asleep as soon as I leave. But we made them use their brain a lot. And so this has really been taxing for them. But I really think it's being spayed, not having any rules, under-exercised, and being petted on demand. So the 4 things I really want the guardians to do, and we're going to do a follow-up session, but I want the guardians to really focus on enforcing rules consistently. Right now we just have the couch, not being allowed in the furniture, and not being allowed within 7 feet of anyone who's eating. So we're going to stand up and move towards them using those escalating consequences I went over. If you forgot how to use those, let me know and I can send you a link to a video with those as well. We're going to get the dogs spayed, which will help. We're going to increase their exercise, and we're going to start rewarding them for desired behaviors through what I call passive training. Every time the dog sits, we pet it and say sit. Also, when the guardians, when they're eating, the dogs are being free-fed. And a lot of people, especially when they have little dogs that don't eat, we think we'll give them more access to food. That will help. That actually makes it worse. So what I would suggest you do is before you feed them, whoever's feeding them should eat something first. Even if you're going to eat your real breakfast later on, still eat just a carrot or a chip or a cracker, something that takes 5 bites. And it has to be a salad. It can't be a smoothie or coffee. They don't understand that. So grab a piece of celery, eat, munch on it, 5 bites. When you get done, then I would feed the dogs one at a time. Now, we might have to incorporate a leash over here to keep the dogs tethered, because right now I'm worried that the 2 females might go after each other. So what you do is take a leash like this, run it around the leg of a chair or a couch, run it through the handle, and then attach it to the dog. So I would have one of those under this couch here with 2 of the dogs attached to it, and that way the other 2 dogs can't get to the 3rd dog who's eating. I would probably feed Milo first, because even though he's a demand barker, he is the most confident out of the dogs, and he's the only male. He's biggest. But I'm trying to really, I feed based on who has the best behavior. Milo is probably the best behaved dog, even though he has the nuisance barking. So basically, after I get done eating, or whoever's feeding goes over there, puts food in his bowl, and each dog should have its own bowl. And don't put them right next to each other, have about 1.5 feet space between them. And the bowl should stay in those locations all the time. So I invite Milo to come over. He's going to come over and he's going to sniff the bowl and go, I don't feel like eating now. And he's going to walk away. As soon as he walks away, take his bowl, pick it up, dump the empty food back in the bag, and put his bowl back down on the ground. And do not let him go to the other dog's bowls or keep them empty. And as soon as he goes back and realizes that as soon as I walk away from the bowl, or the bowl gets emptied, then I make him leave the area using the 3rd escalating consequence, marching towards him. Then I would maybe come over here, detach one of the dogs from the leash, and put him on the leash. Then have that dog come over there, and then give that dog permission to eat out of their own bowl. And I would feed either the mother, Zoe or Milie, based on whoever's behaving better at the time. And then if they go over, if they start eating, they have 3 minutes to eat. If they take a bite and then walk away, as soon as they walk away, pick up the bowl, dump it, and put the empty bowl back down. What we're doing is saying, you better eat the food when I provide it for you as a human, but we're providing it in my terms. So as soon as you leave, the food goes away. Now, in the wild, dogs spend 90% of their time looking for food. If there is a pack of dogs and I'm ranked 5th in the pack, and I come up to it's my turn and go, I don't feel like eating right now, I'll eat later. Number 6 is going to eat my portion. When it's done and I am hungry later, there will be no food. I like to say for dogs, eating for them should be like us driving on the 405. When there's nobody ahead of us, we drive as fast as our car will go. For them, when there's food, they will fill up and fuel themselves. So by adding a little bit of dominion to the food, we elevate ourselves as authority figure. We're eating in the first position, which means we're the leader. We control access to it. And we give them 2 opportunities to eat. If they don't eat and they turn their nose up, don't try to feed them later on. That will make them more motivated to eat the next time if they're hungry. So you keep on doing this, and eventually you get to the point where you say eat, and they go thank you, and they go eat all the food. Now you're in control of the most valuable resource. This is a little bit of dominance theory, but these dogs really need help on alleviating their perception that they are in an authoritative position, because that's why they're reacting the way that they are. So it should take about a week or 2, but eventually the dogs will get much better with eating. Now I use passive training to give each dog a unique command word. I have 4 dogs. I say grub, chow, eat, and the last dog's word is eat, or is feast. So when I'm doing that, when Zoe takes her first bite, maybe her word is chow. When she takes her first bite, I would say chow. For about 2 months. Every time she just takes her first bite, I just say it 1 time. After a while, I say chow, and to Zoe, chow means I have food in my mouth. That means I should go eat. Miley and Milo hear chow, and there's no food in their mouth, so it doesn't mean the same thing to them. So come up with a unique command word for each dog. That way, when you're feeding them, you can call them over 1 at a time. But helping them restrain themselves would be something I would like the guardians to do by blocking and not letting them get to the food. But right now, these dogs, I don't think will be able to do that. So I think tethering them to a leash that's over here tied to the couch is going to be the best way to go about that. Now, if you want to pet them, once they know how to sit or lay down, ask them to do something first before you pet them. Now, if you want to love on them and they can't come up here, you can always go down to their level. They just can't come up to the human's level. When we go through the door, like I said, make sure you do that swinging thing at the door, and then when you go out the door, you go out the door first. And I would like to see Zoe and Milie walking together at least once a day, but really they should probably be walking together a lot. Right now, I think it's going to be easier if we just have 2 leashes. But after a week or 2, if Miley and Zoe get better at the leash, then we can add that splitter and add Milo to one of the females. But I would pick one side or the other, and he always walks with whoever that is, probably with Zoe because he's her mate. But they can do either one. But the idea is I want the 2 females walking together to get comfortable together, and I also want them to not be able to walk all over the place because that's, again, related to them why they're out of balance. And Milo, his marking is also related to why they're out of balance because he thinks the furthest point away that he marks, everything between there and his house is his territory in his mind. And the guardians have noticed when they move further, about 4 or 5 houses away, the dogs are less reactive. Now, if you're on a walk and you see a dog or something your dog's reacting to, walk, instead of correcting and making a big deal, right there, pet and say sit. Miley just sat down. So if they're reacting to something, just walk around a car or a shrub or increase the distance between them and whatever it is that they're reacting to until they come back to you. Now, the come exercise, if you forget how to do that, message me because I have a video I can send to you for that as well. But I really think the more that we have rules and structures, spay and neuter them, increase their exercise, and then reward desired behaviors, the more the dogs are going to know what the humans want and what they don't want. And the demand barking and all the rest of that stuff is going to stop getting as much affection as doing desired behaviors. That will make the dogs do them more and more often. All right, normally I would have a dog or 2 on my lap, but all the dogs are pretty much asleep or very tranquil, and we like that because this has not been the case here in this house. So we will take silence being golden as the best reward. Remember, so this is Zoe, Milo, and Miley's Roadmap to Success. Remember to call me or text me if you have any questions, and text me sooner rather than later. You too, if you're watching and she's out of town, make sure you text me. Send me a picture of the dogs when you text me first because I get so many people requesting. It helps if I know what I'm talking about. All right, this is Zoe, Milie, and Milo's Roadmap to Success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you need it.